Well, hey, everybody, and happy post-debate to all of you who are celebrating tonight.
Celebrate another day of living.
Listen, can we just start with? I need to start with 4 sentences.
Yes.
Okay,
Run, spot, run.
that wasn't on my bingo card, but
Pretty good line. It's a pretty good line. He could have delivered it better.
4 sentences. Run, spot, run.
I'm gonna pull up my Facebook feed to remind myself what I was dream posting, because I got to tell you, I can't wipe the smirk off my face. And I just want to say, Kamala Harris, I think I love you, but what am I so afraid of? She was great. It was pitch perfect.
I cannot wait to vote for Kamala Harris. Listen, we gathered together several weeks ago in a debate, in a gathering like this, right after a presidential debate hosted by CNN, in which President Joe Biden debated Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump. We were horrified. We were shocked. We were embarrassed.
despondent.
Despondent, not because of the absolute buffoonery of Donald Trump, but because of the clear evidence that Joe Biden on that night was not up to the task necessary to just get out of the way with a little bit of wit and humor, a little bit of smirking, to let Donald Trump's buffoonery be, just clear for all to see. Tonight, we gather, having watched for 90 plus minutes a completely unhinged man ramble on and on about things that are not true, things that only get reported on the most extreme and bizarre networks and stations like Newsmax and Breitbart and like that kind of thing. Like, it was conspiracy. It was angry conspiracy theories compared to a smart, calm, level-headed, empathetic person.
Crusher. Absolute crusher.
Yeah.
She destroyed him. She absolutely destroyed him. And as we say, Donald Trump's like a self-cleaning oven. He does all the work for you. Never more true than was tonight during this debate.
Never have been more proud of that phrase, that the man is like a self-cleaning oven. I mean, look, Kamala Harris was so on point tonight, in my view. I mean, look, I agree with her. I wanted her to win. I think Donald Trump is a hazard, all that stuff. I just think as a sheer performance, in June, Donald Trump outperformed Joe Biden. And tonight, Kamala Harris took control of that debate from the moment she walked to his podium and said, I am Kamala Harris. And
amazing.
That was you could see her hit, in my view, she hitched a little. Is she going to do it? I've been worried that old Tim Walz from Minnesota is going to be compared to Sarah Palin. To take one Sarah Palin comparison for the moment. Like when she walked up to Joe Biden and said, can I call you Joe? Was so endearing, whether you agreed with her or not.
Yep.
When Kamala Harris walked up and said, not can I call you Don, but I am Kamala Harris and I am here. It's almost like in her spirit, she said, I am Kamala Harris for the people, which is the thing she said a bunch. They all said a bunch at the convention. It was a phrase they used. That I thought was like, from the moment one, she was in his head. She was like, I'm in your space. I am initiating. I am in charge. And you will respond to every statement I'm about to make, which for the next 90 minutes, Donald Trump responded to every statement and put out nothing on his own.
Yeah.
Every single thing was a response. And then people want to eat your pets.
Because from that moment, she presented her hand. She did the classy thing of, offering her hand to introduce herself. And he had to make a decision right then. Do I shake her hand or do I do the classless, walk away, turn my back?
Yes.
And from that moment, he was on his back foot, always responding to her.
Yeah. And I loved that she walked right into his space, like behind his podium. She didn't wait for him to meet her halfway.
No.
She took it to him, and she took it to him all night long.
And there was a moment, there was the first couple questions, everyone's warming up, getting used to it. And then there was a moment when she noticeably got under his skin by commenting about crowd size and people leaving his rallies early. And you could just watch him brooding and get from that moment on, he was just unhinged.
Yes. When she said to him, she didn't say to him, she looked in the camera and said, I want to invite you to go to a MAGA rally.
Yeah. Yes. Please go and watch people. And Rob, here's the thing, to quote Robb Ryerse, as I often do whenever possible. You have said, as I have said with you, or as I have experienced with you, you have said repeatedly, we've been to Trump rallies. They are boring.
They're boring.
Leave, and he rambles incessantly. They are not good experiences. When people are excited to go to Trump rallies, they are not excited when they leave Trump rallies because they're terrible. And for her to have known that, and for her team, God bless them all. And I will live on a bus from Thursday morning until election day on behalf of those people.
Yeah.
They got inside of his head by knowing what would get to him.
Yeah.
That his events are boring, people leave, and they don't want to be there anymore.
Yep.
I think you're right.
Totally.
And that just got in his head. And they're going to, when he, honest to goodness, I have a whole list of the order I want to go on, but I just have to get to this one because it's way late in the debate. Said they're eating people's dogs. The thing that the hardcore right has been saying, it's just a meme. People are just joking. No one takes this seriously. Again, Donald Trump, who doesn't know what a joke is, thinks immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are capturing people's household pets to eat them. It is so insane. And
I loved the real-time fact-checking of that. Comment, but he's like, actually, that's not happening. We specifically looked into that.
Yeah.
Hilarious. So highlight of the night, was it eat the dogs, or was the highlight of the night transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison, which was just amazing.
Just a word salad of
going through the list of
dog whistles.
I think the greatest line of the night was Donald Trump was fired by 81 million American people, and clearly he's having having trouble processing that, or some version of that.
Yes, when he
was a crusher line. And I'll tell you, Doc Nick DeSantis, glad you're here. Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people, and he and perhaps you are having a hard time getting over that. And I get it. I have lived with great heartbreak myself. Mm-hmm. He's a loser who lost, and he's going to lose again because the American people do not want a babbling old man who is screaming literally at the windmills and about
give you cancer.
fictional characters.
Yes,
and
about
eating people's pets.
yes,
He
and what
said
came
it as the former president of the United States in a presidential election.
yes, and what came through so crystal clear was that Donald Trump hates America.
Hates it.
Donald hates it. Hates the country. Hates how we're handling things. Hates who we are as a people. Hates our system of government.
We're a failed nation.
We're a failed nation, and Kamala Harris laid out a vision for the future of the country that was optimistic and joyful and clear about the challenges, but also that sense of, hey, let's get to it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And he tried at the very end, he tried to say, well, if these things are so important to you, like, why haven't you done them? And I wish he had a chance to respond to that in his final statement.
Because half of the stuff is stuff they have done. It's like, you talk about adding jobs. Why didn't you add jobs? Well, they added more jobs than any point in history.
Why didn't we improve the economy? Why is your stock portfolio not doing better? How come the American people aren't doing better? They are in every count. This is the thing that Republicans say repeatedly. And I don't know what world Republicans are living in that is so horrible.
Yeah.
Right.
But America is pretty fucking great. That's just the truth of it. It's pretty great right now. And if you're going to spend your time telling the American people that their experience is horrible because it costs a lot to go to a restaurant, do you know who's happy that it costs a lot to go to a restaurant? Restaurateurs, people who work in restaurants. Like, if you've been running on a cheapo diet for all of this time while you've barely been paying restaurant workers and it's costing you more to go out because everyone has more money, and somehow Republicans want to say that an expanding economy is the problem.
Yep.
Honestly, I think what they should do is pull out their old DVDs of Rush Limbaugh and pop them in their DVD player, because they're clearly not purchasing any new technology because the economy is so bad. And watch Rush Limbaugh tell you about how a growing economy helps everybody.
That's
I mean, this is the thing. The MAGA people, the Trump people, they're not Republicans. I'm not saying being a Republican.
Not conservatives.
They're not conservatives. When every presidential or vice presidential candidate, save this one because I don't know if Dan Quayle is actually going to vote for Donald Trump, but when every living former president who's a Republican and former vice president who's a Republican, and by default, every former living president and every former living vice president, every former living candidate for the presidency and vice presidency will not vote for Donald Trump, you have to ask yourself, what team are you on?
Yeah.
There is not one who has sought the position of the presidency or the vice presidency, save Dan Quayle, who I'm not sure about, who would say, I will vote for Donald Trump. I mean, honestly, and then to watch the guy tonight just respond and say the most incoherent things. It was actually quite sad. I think at some point there may have been someone who wanted to step in and say, could this be elder abuse?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a moment or two throughout the debate where I thought, he might walk off.
Yes.
There were a couple of moments where I thought he might bail on this thing.
Yes.
And especially after the first commercial break, I really wondered if, is he even going to be there? Because he just had it. I mean, we've got a lot of food things that we're talking about. He had his lunch handed to him, and a lunch, by the way, which included, as if you're a listener to the podcast, I pointed out this morning,
bacon.
Yep. Man's obsessed with bacon. I don't know why he does it. He talks about bacon.
You know what's crazy about that? And this is honest to God's truth. I'm not making this up, and I would make this up, but I'm just telling you I'm not. While the debate was going on, I was literally picking bacon out of my teeth because I had bacon for dinner. So when he said,
but how much did it cost?
when he said American people can't buy bacon
Doesn't
anymore.
matter. You have enough
My
money to
tongue
pay
went
for
out
it.
the left side of my tooth while I had freaking bacon out of it. I mean, this is what I mean. So truly, Kamala Harris was trying to talk about things that are true to the American experience. Like we had begged or desired or sort of wishfully, prayed to the political gods that she would do today. And she did it. And then Donald Trump did exactly what we thought, but even worse.
Mm-hmm.
He said all of the things repeatedly. America is terrible. America is a failed state. Lies about immigration. And when he said, Viktor Orban thinks I'm great, I think that was the one pitch over the plate that she missed.
Yes.
Viktor Orban, for those who don't know, and you don't need to know, my wife didn't know. She said, who is Viktor Orban, which is very good news for most Americans, that Donald Trump, again, talks about a leader of a country they've never heard of, Hungary, and they've never heard of Viktor Orban, is a self-confessed, democratically elected dictator.
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy he said, of course, they like me. Now, here's where I feel badly for Donald Trump, truthfully. He is in a world where he believes everyone in America wanted Roe versus Wade overturned because he only listens to those people. And he doesn't know that 70% of people in polls did not want Roe versus Wade overturned. He literally doesn't know. And he doesn't know that Viktor Orban is an outlier in the international community. And truly, it's his only political friend. It's just so sad. If he doesn't drop out of the race tomorrow, I think Republicans should pull off a snap convention and try to pull him off the ballot. He's that bad.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, he was terrible. And you know what? I thought Kamala only made a couple of mistakes. Most of them were sins of omission, not sins of commission. For instance,
and keeps track of his sins, Dan. Hang on a minute.
Yeah,
Robb's
that's right.
sins by category.
I thought she let a couple of things slide that she shouldn't have. One was the Viktor Orban statement. She should have said he's called a strongman because he's a dictator.
Yes.
And it just shows your obsession with dictators.
Yes.
The other thing that she let slide, I was worried that she was going to let slide when he talked about, I got more votes than any Republican president ever has gotten. I got more votes than any sitting president ever got. And she eventually did come back with the great line of 81 million. Well, what she could have said was something like, yeah, you got 74 million votes. Joe Biden and I got 81 million, you still lost. The other one, that, I just thought she should have hit back on. Oh, now the whiskey's kicking in and I'm losing my train of thought.
Well, while you think about that, let me say what
I'm going to omit her. Well, I will talk about the sin of commission that I thought when in the race question, I thought her initial answer was fantastic. He came back with just maybe he answered first and then she answered and then he interrupted and came back again, and then she wanted to come back again. And they were trying to tell her don't do it, and she went right into reciting like a State of the Union, her bullet point list of plans. I thought that was the only thing she did that I was like, ooh, she should have just let that sit, because
I liked it. I thought he had done that multiple times, talked over a dead mic and they turned his mic on. I thought she's like, look, I'm going to keep talking here. I thought it was feisty and great. I don't know. I can see how somebody would be bothered by it, but I thought it was spunky. I thought what she should have said to the 74 million when he said, they told me 63 million votes would win. Donald, you have been misinformed by all of your advisors from the beginning. They were wrong. You lost by 11 million votes. They did not give you good advice.
Yeah.
You've hired bad people. You've fired good people. You've taken bad advice. America can't afford Donald Trump. Like this is just, I thought this thing was like, this will go down. Her turn of the head. And when she locked the arm like that, I thought was, I mean,
Like, here we go.
I said to my wife, I said, look, the right wing is going to lose their minds about this. They're going to lose their minds about her smugness that they're going to try to call out as some kind of cattiness. And they're going to lose their minds about the moderators, who I thought did an exceptional job. Every time Donald Trump overtalked and kept going was when the female moderator was the one asking the question. Did you notice that? Always on her front. And she let him do it. She paused and then they turned the mics on. Somebody in the control room turned his mic on. And I feel like they shouldn't have. Everything he said when his mic was turned back on was also just wildly terrible for him. So good, let him talk. But I thought the moderators, if I was a right-wing MAGA supporter, I would have thought these moderators have it in for Donald Trump.
Yes. And he tweeted or posted on Truth Social a few minutes ago.
While it was happening?
No. This was his post. I thought that was my best debate ever, especially since it was 3-on-1.
Yeah. Look, he has got to come out of this saying to his people, his hypnotist thing, these are not the droids you are looking for. That was my best debate ever. These are now your talking points.
Yeah, they're in the chat. Robert says Trump destroyed lying Kamala.
Lying Kamala. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Robert, you could have written that probably at 7:59 because that's what you believe. There's no look. We sat here, Robert and others, 3 months ago saying what Joe Biden just experienced was terrible because it was terrible.
Yep.
What Donald Trump experienced tonight was terrible for him.
Yep.
You can admit that. Now, it doesn't matter if you do, because honestly, Robert, your opinion doesn't really matter. But to the undecided peoples of America, it is nearly impossible for me to imagine. And I can imagine some wild things.
But to get back to Kamala's performance
before it was possible, that anybody's gonna suggest to Donald is gonna suggest. I didn't think I was in for Donald Trump, but after I heard him talk tonight,
right,
I can't imagine. Is there anyone? Now, what he didn't do was he wasn't particularly rude to her as a. He didn't call her nasty. He kind of said just the generic stuff he said about just fill in the blank. Hillary Clinton, worst thing in the world. Barack Obama, worst president in the world. Joe Biden, worst. Like he just stayed in that form. He didn't get particularly.
He was more specifically rude to Joe Biden, and then claimed that Kamala Harris hates Joe Biden.
Yes, what was that about?
Joe Biden hates Kamala Harris. I didn't fully understand who hated who or why. But
who here? Yeah, and like she's like, no, he doesn't hate me.
Yeah,
and I loved it. She didn't get into the tit for tat. She just let the screen do the work, knowing she's here. I go, and I just thought she just handled it as well as we could. Even the thing we begged this morning that she would look at the camera and say to the American people, "I'm thinking about you. He's thinking about himself." There was nearly a quote.
Yeah, it was. Yep, and he talked primarily to David Muir most of the night. You know, he spoke. He looked at David Muir. He talked to David Muir, like that. Like he did not look into the camera and speak to the American public. He looked up a couple of times. He looked up a few times, looking at the clock to see how much time she had left, but he did not look at the people and speak to the people, and she did so many times. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
so great.
And I loved when she pointed out and quoted many of the people that formerly worked for Donald Trump in his cabinet. And pointed out that they have zero faith in Trump's ability to lead the country, and then goes on, Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, all these Republicans. I thought she missed an opportunity when he was like, well, I fired a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, are you just bad at picking people to run your cabinet? Or are you just incompetent? Like
big news. I have breaking news, guys. I have breaking news.
Okay. He's dropping out.
That was fast. Wow.
What do you got?
A few minutes ago.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Oh boy.
Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris.
Let's go. Let's get over.
She signed it.
And
Taylor Swift,
jumper,
childless cat lady.
Yes.
And wagon jumper. Anyone could endorse her after the debate, Taylor.
She just said, like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now's a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and stances these candidates take on topics that matter the most to you as a voter. I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for this country.
I don't believe her.
Nobody votes based on policies.
I don't believe
Recently,
her.
I was made aware that AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted on his site. It really conjured up my fears around AI and the dangers of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about the actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation with the truth. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. She goes on to talk about why. And she says, I've done my research. I've made my choice. Taylor Swift, childless cat lady.
And I do believe it. I think I
did my own research.
Have you watched that Miss Americana documentary about her?
Yeah,
she's
great. I have. I'm big.
She was all in for Joe Biden, so like she didn't do her research to do this. But anyway, I love Taylor Swift. Hey, Donald Trump said tonight, she, referring to Kamala Harris, wants transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison.
That's a mouthful.
It's the best.
Okay.
They were all roaming the streets.
Deported. They're deported.
I thought they were roaming the streets, eating our stray cats.
They're deported. Hey, did you guys, did I text you guys? I was texting a lot of people during this. I can't remember if it was you. When I said, she's a gun owner, I'm not sure I can vote for her.
Seriously. Yeah, that was a big revelation from the evening. Did not know she was a gun owner.
No. Yeah. I mean, this morning it was, is she a golfer? I wasn't going as far as gun owner.
Yeah.
What's she sporting? Sport?
Edward asked this great question. I may have missed it, but have you already talked about Donald J. Trump appropriating Harris's "I'm speaking"? Oh, we haven't talked about it, but I noticed it, and
and he tried, and that goes for folks who might not know. That was a line from the debate in 2020 when Kamala Harris was debating Mike Pence, and he interrupted her, and she replied with, "I'm speaking," and really put him in his place. He said that once to her, and then he kind of like smugly smiled, like he thought he had really gotten something there. And then later he told her to be, he just said quiet, which was a little bit like, a little bit aggressive. I can understand her frustration, wanting to talk, wanting to, speak back to the nonsense he was spewing. The best thing she could do, though, is just be quiet and let him spew it.
Her line, when he said, "I'm speaking," did you hear what she said? Could you pick it up, or are you watching it on your iPad? She said, "It's a great line, isn't it?" Everyone else may not have heard it, but he heard it, and she's like,
"That's awesome.
You used my line."
Yeah, that's a good
line. That's when she is. There's a quickness to her, and a sparky, and a spunky, and a sassy thing that I love. And I thought she was really on par with that thing tonight.
Yeah, and his whole approach tonight was like, it was the "I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you" kind of thing.
You're the one that hates democracy, not me.
Yes. It's the same. It's the way he's responded to the whole weird thing. I'm not weird. They're weird.
You're weird.
I don't hate democracy. They hate democracy. I don't. That's her. And like over and over and over again, it was like he didn't have any. And this is like the way his whole campaign has been. doesn't have any original ideas. He doesn't have anything original, anything new to say. It's all the same. The only original thing that he's had throughout this whole campaign is the idea of no taxes on tips, and then she stole that from him too. Like she took that away from him.
Yeah.
I did love when they asked, like, what is your specific plan to replace Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act? And he said, I've got some ideas.
I have a concept of a
I
plan.
have a concept of a plan.
Of a plan.
She was like, that's cute. You got yourself a concept. And then when Muir said earlier, you've said for 3 years you didn't lose the election. And then earlier, you said that you lost by a whisker. And then this is by David Muir. And then you lost by a little bit. And then you didn't really get a little bit. And Trump said, did I say that? And then said, it was sarcasm. And then when Muir said, I listened to the quotes, I didn't pick up the sarcasm. I mean, this is what I mean for the hard right. They are just going to be out of their minds. This was the first time I felt like the moderators did something to fact check in real time. There's no state in the country where you can abort healthy children in the 9th month. Oh. You cannot execute children after they're born. You cannot do that. Like, just saying that flat out. Now, I know that people watching this and other people are like, yes, you can. They said, like, I know they're just going to rubber and glue this thing. But that was at least motivating for people to be like, well, that can't be true, can it? And the number of people truly, and I have a lot of friends who are still this way, really still in a place of like, I don't know if I trust Kamala Harris. I don't know how this can go. Who still think that Donald Trump won't say things that are blatantly wrong. Like they think he's politicianing everything. They don't know that he says things like, they say, put the baby on the table and we'll decide what to do with them later, is an absolute full lie. They're like, he wouldn't say it if there wasn't some truth. I'm like, no, this is the difference with Donald Trump. And honestly, there are so many people for whom this is going to be their struggle. They don't know that Donald Trump says things that he has simply heard. Like when he said, there's news reports saying that immigrants are eating people's dogs. Well, there's not. He just heard that there were news reports that people in Ohio who are immigrants are eating people's pets. It's not true. He's saying things that are like in the fever swamp of the hard right with no connection to reality. And people think he couldn't say it if there wasn't some truth.
Right. Because most people can't comprehend a person that would just blatantly lie to everyone's faces when you can easily fact check it.
Yes.
There's no one eating dogs. You can go to the town and look around.
No. We can't say that. Because we do not know what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing in Springfield, Ohio.
If RFK was there, maybe the dogs aren't safe.
Well, it seems to be something that RFK Jr. would want to be joining the hordes of immigrants coming across the border then, because that's right up his alley. I think he picked the wrong team. How long do you think it's going to take before Robert says, Hey, Kamala, I'm really, really sorry I stood up there on the stage. I just wondered if maybe there'd be some kind of a job I could have because I'm out of friends now. Is he coming back in the next week? Is it going to take 10 days? When's that pathetic, third party like candidate going to come pumping himself around? All right. I mean, I'm gloating. I feel great. I feel a pep in the step. I just think Kamala Harris is the right person for the job.
Yep.
I mean, here's the other thing. There was one person on that stage tonight who seemed presidential, and it was Kamala Harris to me. Now, I'm biased. I already own
David Muir.
It looks like he's from Central Casting. About
my goodness. Is he? Oh, seriously? Is he just like, okay, we need a Ken doll to read the news to us. Let's.
You know what I want to know? I want to know. Hey, David Muir, what's the funniest thing you've ever said? Because I don't think it's very funny.
No sense of humor on that guy? No sense of humor on that
I'm
guy.
just saying, I
He
might
apparently
share you
understands
guys.
sarcasm when he hears
And
it
I'm-
or doesn't.
This is true.
Well, that could have been a great Donald Trump retort, which was, David, having listened to you moderate this debate, I'm not sure you'd understand sarcasm if you heard it. A bit of a dry bone there, fella.
Okay. We talked about winners and losers last time, the debate in June, and you know, do you have any winners and losers? I'll tell you. I'll tell you who I think is the big loser tonight. Besides Donald Trump, I think real big loser tonight is Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, great line.
Tulsi was supposed to play the role of Kamala Harris in debate prep and get Donald Trump prepared to debate Kamala Harris. Tulsi was on the debate stage with Kamala Harris in 2020. Took some shots at her, and that some people thought landed. Clearly, Tulsi did not get the former president ready for this. Not at all. Tulsi Gabbard, big loser. Big loser tonight.
Yeah. Well, just consistently where she's been since she was a Bernie Sanders supporter back in 2018. 2016. Yeah, she's stayed the course as a non-Democrat the entire time, so she might as well find herself over in that camp. Glad to see her. Hey, look, I'm glad she's got a paying gig.
Yeah,
look, we've all struggled. We've all struggled to keep a paying gig alive. Good for you, Tulsi. Hey, if you can take a little money from the Trump supporters and line your own pockets with it, why not you, along with all the rest of the Trump kids, be lining your pockets? No problem there from this blue hat wearing. Yeah. I thought the biggest loser tonight was Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
Convicted criminal and charged person in 3 other jurisdictions. I just think this was humiliating for him. This is the first time in years that people have watched him be interrogated.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't do the prosecutorial thing where she was going at him. She was talking about him in front of him in ways that made him look small and old.
Yeah.
Doug, you had made the prediction that she was going to use the word old repeatedly. You even said that she might include the word tired along with it. I counted 4 times that she said that.
You did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And she said the same old playbook. She used old a couple of times. It's time to turn the page. She just did it all. I mean, I'm glad the team is listening to the podcast. That means a lot to us. I mean, she was well prepared because she's a good, solid, competent person who can be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What was he talking about when? Oh no, it was. It was about the January 6th thing and the Charlottesville thing. And she was saying, the reports where he had said, there's good people on both sides, and he wanted to rebut that. And he cited Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham.
Which again, the poor man thinks everybody listens to and Laura Ingraham, and he thinks they're not news commentators. He thinks they are actually people well respected in America. By their own definitions, they're not. When they were in court being sued by Dominion voting systems, they said, "We are commentators.
You can't take us seriously." Literally, like,
yep.
People know better than to trust us.
They know what we do. We're color commentators about politics. We're not speaking authoritatively about anything.
Yeah. Basically saying we're no different than like Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Kimmel. We're,
well, I thought they were going to say Robb, Ryerse, Daniel Deitrich, and Doug Pagitt after a debate, but whatever group of people who have no official capacity about anything and are pretty much just comedic relief in the commentary genre. So the idea that Donald Trump again is speaking to this teeny audience of people who think Fox News is authoritative is just simply stunning. And then he couldn't remember the name of the one guy, Jeremy, whoever was trying to mention. He couldn't remember the guy's name. And it was just sad. It was a hunched thing. The whole dealio.
His faces were just priceless. But it just shows you he's not trying to reach the independent voters.
That's it.
He's not trying to reach a new audience.
That's it.
He's just doubling down on the rabid base that will believe anything he says.
Yep.
And that's not going to win him the election.
No, but the structure still might. I mean, here's the crazy thing. He could still win this election.
Yep.
There is, I mean, look, if 3% of voters in the swing states that matter most, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, Arizona, maybe you throw in Nevada, North Carolina, if 3% of the people in those states move toward Kamala Harris, that would be enormous and would still keep the polls inside the margin of error. We still don't know if Donald Trump is up 4 points or down 4 points. A 3% swing, which would be massive, still puts this inside the margin of error. So I'm with you, Dan. There's no reason America should. But honestly, in 2020, when we were traveling the country, I said, maybe to you guys repeatedly, I cannot imagine that more people are going to vote for Donald Trump this year than voted for him in 2016. How could they?
Right.
And then 11 million more people, 11 million said yes, said give us a refill on that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So now, are there going to be 156 million people voting in this election? Probably not. Is Kamala Harris going to get 78 million votes and Donald Trump is going to get 68 million votes? Probably something like that. Maybe Trump's going to get 70 and she's going to get 79, something like this. I'm guessing that's where this thing is going to fall. It's going to be razor tight.
So you think voter turnout will be less than 2020?
I think so. I think the pandemic allowed more people to vote more conveniently, and there was a lot of lockdown experience and a lot more people were engaged, and it was easier to vote. And I think that across the board will take out, 1%. But 1%.
Dan, this one's all you.
You don't know what's in here.
Hey, Siri, what's 1% of 150 million? 1.5 million. If 10%,
yeah,
if it's down, that makes more sense. If it's down 10%, just ignore the rest of that stuff. If it's down 10%, which might be a lot. So maybe it's going to be down 8 million votes, not 15 million votes. I think the numbers are going to be down. I think to the degree that we all think this is the most important election of our lifetime, there's a lot of people who don't. There's a lot of people who don't care. And I think it's going to take just a Herculean effort to get the numbers up to record numbers, to record turnout.
But I'll say there's just anecdotally, there's more people texting me that have been previously uninterested in politics.
Oh, really?
That were watching this debate, that are tuned in, that are engaged.
Well, I mean that settles it. Just cancel the election now. Dan's friends.
My 3 friends
have decided.
Hey, Donna Lutz Johnson, we're coming to Omaha's 2nd district in Nebraska.
Yes,
we're coming there, Donna. Look at the Vote Common Good schedule. You'll see it. I think we're going to be there like the 12th of October, something like that. We're rolling into town with the Faith, Hope, and Love Supporting Democracy for All tour.
Come on out and see us and bring 50 of your closest friends. It's going to be a blast.
And if you have a parking lot for us, let us know.
Yeah. Do you have a very large driveway we could park the bus?
Yes, we are coming there. Hey, and those people who are still listening and care, thanks for this. We are going to be on the road. We're going to be in eastern Wisconsin on Thursday, middle Wisconsin on Friday, northern Wisconsin on Saturday, Western Wisconsin on Sunday, and then next week we're over in Michigan, and then we're back into eastern part
Green
of
Bay, right?
Wisconsin, the Green Bay area, and then we're down to Kansas City, and then we're over to Georgia, and then we're out to California with a little stop off in Texas. Like, we're traveling around, so keep up with us and the stuff that we're doing. We're not just people that sit in our basements and fancy rooms and upstairs bedrooms. We also get out.
That's right.
Not that we want to. It's like being at home too. All right,
but listen, I cannot wait to get out on the road and urge people to vote for Kamala Harris for president of the United States.
Man.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
And I'll tell you what, whatever, 6 weeks ago when we were trying to be excited about Joe Biden sitting in the bus, it was a different vibe.
Self-talking.
Trying to convince ourselves that everything was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what the Trump advisors are feeling right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Feeling a little empathy for him. Totally.
And I think you could see the panic on Trump's face through the second half of that debate. You could tell that he knew he was losing it and was powerless to stop it.
Yes. I completely agree. I think he was freaked out about what was going on. Didn't go well. All right. Yeah. At the risk of a copyright strike. This feeling I didn't know how to deal with, and so I just you guys even know this song?
Yeah.
I think I love you, so what am I so afraid of? Is that
Kamala Harris, thank you for all you did tonight. That's all you're going to do. I think I love you. So what am I going to throw that one tonight.
All right.
I just can't be more happy for her. I just feel good for her. I just think America's going to feel better tomorrow than it did this morning. There was a lot of angst. I got a lot of text messages from good friends who are like, hey, you're my one friend who like cares about politics. Like, you guys are probably that way too. Like, you're the one other person that cares about this in the rest of their life. And I have that honor for a lot of people. And they're like, how you feeling? I'm so nervous. I don't know how this is going to go. And I was like, yeah, I'm totally there too. And wow.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we'll see you on Tuesday, but we'll catch you on the road next week and this weekend. So take care, everybody.